Meeting called to order. Please join me in prayers. Dear God, today as this session opens, we pray that your presence will be before us and everyone who serves in the decision-making process of our city. We pray for directions we will lead our city to be strong and unified. May we continue the legacy of our founders. May we be granted this day the wisdom to make decisions which will be for the good of our city. We also pray for a special blessing on all those who are working to transform our city and make it a better place to live and work. Amen. Please join me in the allegiance of the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilor Rourke?
Here.
Councilor Scott?
Is she on Zoom? Did she sign on yet? She's in. Councilor Scott, I see her name. We'll count her as present.
Mayor Chow?
Here.
Councilor Drinkwater?
Here.
Councilor
Yam.
Getchia?
Here.
You forget Councilor Yam.
Councilor Janess? Oh, sorry.
Councilor Yam.
Councilor Yam.
Sorry.
He's here.
Councilor Janess? Councilor Leahy? Here. Councilor Mercia?
Here.
Councilor Nun?
Here.
Councilor Robinson?
Here.
One abs.
Any memorials or moment of silence tonight? Hearing none, I do have one, and if there's no objection, I would like to read from up here from the podium. This is in regards to a dear friend of mine. This was one of my most personal acts as a mayor, and one that is closest to my heart, giving the key to the city to a great gentleman whom I've been lucky to call a friend. Because he was a private person, we just presented him with the key to the city at his daughter's family home on his birthday last year. I would like to request a moment of silence in Darkened Chamber for William Francis McCarty III, also known as Wink or Winky, born on December 17, 1940, and passed away October, which was Monday, October 9, 2023.
Yes.
I would like to read the citation that accompanied his key to the city, given to him on the celebration of his birthday last December 17, 2022. Official citation: be it hereby known to all that the City of Lowell in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts hereby offers our sincerest congratulations to William Francis McCarty III, also known as Wink, was born on December 17, 1940. His family originally lived in Chelmsford, but later moved to the Highlands when he was very young and has been a resident of the Highlands ever since. He attended local schools, including Westlands in Chelmsford, Notre Dame Academy in Tyngsboro, and the Pine Street School, Margaret and Keith Academy in Lowell. After high school, he served in the United States Army for several years. Wink had a long career with the phone company, first New England Telephone and Telegraph, and ultimately retiring from AT&T. He has served for many years as a board of directors and also a local business owner, and developed several small businesses in Lowell, including car dealership, Chelmsford Street Motors, McCarty Brothers Paving, and several real estate companies. Wink is a devout Catholic and a parishioner at St. Margaret's Church in Lowell. An avid golfer, he was a longtime member of the Mount Pleasant Golf Club, where he served on the board of directors, but mostly enjoyed his time volunteering for the youth golf clinics and to teach the game of golf to the students from Perkins School for the Blind. He loves sports and was a terrific athlete as a young boy in Lowell. He played in the first Little League game in Lowell at Shedd Park, then later played ball in the Highlands and on adult teams. He quietly donated his time and effort to many charities and philanthropy efforts. He never drew attention to himself, but encouraged and assisted the efforts of public servants and nonprofits whose work helped to make life better for the people in our community. I, as a personal friend and the mayor of the city, are very saddened by the loss of Wink, and the entire community feel the same way. I always remember having coffee with him early in the morning to talk about everything in Lowell, and he will be deeply missed. At this point, we'll ask Madam Clerk to please dim the light.
Mr. Mayor,
While do so, Councilor Mercia.
if I could just offer a moment of silence and darken chamber to all those that have died in the disaster that's happening around the world. Prayers for those grieving around the world, especially the people of Israel. We're seeing on the news and hearing on the radios. It's very, very sad. And I'd like to offer a moment of silence and darken chamber to all those who passed on since our last city council meeting. Thank you.
Madam Clerk, please dim the light. Good evening, everyone, and thank you all for joining us at the meeting in the chamber, to the public, and everyone watching this meeting from home. We now will start with the mayor's business, 2.1. Need a motion to have communication remote Zoom participation. Motion to accept and place on file by Councilor Yam, second by Councilor Rourke. All in favor say aye, opposed say no. The ayes have it. Motion is carried. The next one is 2.2, 2.3. We can take them up together. This is on establishing two subcommittees. One is an ad hoc on property restoration, and the second one on the special events. And both these subcommittees was requested by Councilor Robinson, and he's the chair of both subcommittees, with other members assigned as provided in the letters. Any comments or questions on any of the issues here? Councilor Robinson?
Just thank you. I think both of these subcommittees are going to serve a good purpose. As everyone's aware, our special events has pretty much tripled, it feels like, in the past year and a half, 2 years, and I think it's a good way for the council to work with the community and Case and everyone involved to kind of flush out some ideas on things that we bounce around and bring it back once we have solid plans moving forward to the general body. And as far as the ad hoc subcommittee on the restoration of properties, I think that's another vital one that we can really do some brainstorming and kick around ideas and bring something forward to repurpose some of these buildings we have. Thank you.
Councilor Rourke?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And just a comment in general, knowing what the property that we have in the city that, you know, that could be, hopefully will be restored one day, those are probably in the dozens, if not a few hundred. Is that, Madam Assistant City Manager, probably? And then also with the special events, it kind of coincides. Has there ever been a thought, Mr. Manager, of a redevelopment authority similar to what other cities and towns do, not just in Massachusetts, but you know, countrywide? You know, and getting the last list we had that of properties that could be restored, you know, is there something we could even grow upon with ad hoc subcommittees, with, you know, with people in the community that could tackle these issues, knowing probably how busy, you know, the administration is with other things?
Mr. Manager?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, through to the council. Councilor, yes, we're hoping that something from a subcommittee standpoint could possibly yield a redevelopment authority. We've been talking about trying to mirror or mimic what the city of Boston has done in the past with the former Boston Redevelopment Authority, but that's something that needs to grow, and we're hoping that if it's the will of the committee to start thinking in that type of direction, where the administration would be more than willing to try to take it to work into that section, if it's something that is the will of the body.
Maybe a possible, you know, first subject matter for a subcommittee would be a good idea, and obviously be a lengthy process to getting through everything that we could do. as a city and the benefits of such. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions on this? And great point, Councillor. Maybe the chairman could call a subcommittee meeting as soon as possible. No other comments or questions on these two subcommittees. Need a motion to accept and place on file by Councillor Robinson, second by Councillor Gishia. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, say no. The ayes have it. Motion is carried. We do have a community presentation today. This on item 2.4. This is from the organization called LASA, Love All, Serve All, have a free medical clinic this Saturday. Is there a representative from LASA who is here to make a brief presentation on this? I don't see anybody here, but that will be forwarded to members of the council, and if you could pass on the information to the rest of the community, that'd be great. Need a motion to accept and place on the file by Councillor Rook, second by Councillor Murcia. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, say no. The ayes have it. Motion is carried. The next line item is the city clerk, 3.1, minutes of city council meeting, October 3rd for acceptance. Any comments or questions on this? Hearing none. I need a motion to accept and place on file by Councillor Murcia, second by Councillor Nguyen. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, say no. The ayes have it. Motion is carried. The next category are the communications from the city manager. We'll start with the motion response, and we'll do with the alphabet A first. This is on the back central parking.
Mr. Mayor,
Councillor Yam, hold second. Councillor Scott is not here. Is she on Zoom? Has she been signed on Zoom yet, or is she? Councillor Scott, any comments on this one? Okay, hearing none. Councillor Yam, do you have something to say on this motion response?
Mr. Mayor, may I suspend the rule and bring up the motion 9.5? I have a speaker. She's here to speak on behalf of the motions.
Okay.
So before we dive into the rest of the agenda, if I may.
Sure, absolutely. So no other comments or questions on the motion response and back central parking, so we can consider this complete. We have a motion on the floor by Councillor Yam to suspend the rule to take item, what number?
9.5, Mr. Mayor.
9.5?
Yes. I have the speaker. She's here.
9.5, and that is second by Councillor Murcia. Motion 9.5 is Councillor Yam, request city manager have the appropriate department paint a crosswalk on Merrimack Street at the corner of Aiken Street where the former St. John Baptist Church is located. Second by Councillor Nguyen. Madam Clerk, please call the registered speaker, please. Oh, there's no registered speaker? Councillor Yam, did that person register to speak?
She is
here?
She's here, but she may not. I give her the information to call the clerk's office to register to vote. So if I may suspend the rule to allow her to speak.
Okay.
She's
Motion
here.
by Councillor Yam to have an unregistered speaker to speak.
Yeah.
Second by Councillor Murcia.
Sonia Martinez, her name.
Okay, hi.
Sonia,
If you
come
could
up to the
please
podium.
approach the podium.
Come on to the
Please
podium.
state your name and your address, and we have the 3 minutes rule for you to speak on this item.
Yeah, I'm Sonia Martinez. I'm the living in the Acre High 7. Okay. Hi, my name is Sonia Martinez. I'm living the 760 Merrimack Street, apartment 203, Lowell, Massachusetts. It's an Acre High School. The motion because the 2 years ago, the cross the street, go to the kid, go to take a bus. One car is hitting my granddaughter
Kim Scott?
because the Merrimack Street is the people is not stop. Not the highway. The highway. The kids is crossing the street, picking the bus, taking the bus. I talked to the guys. Had the problem because put on the line something. The kid is safe cross the street. because that's the problem for that is street, the Merima and Aiken. That's the problem. The people, sometimes the bus stop, put on the sign stop. Sometimes the people running, go, no stop. That difficult, the people, the school right here. That's the problem for the corner. Many the bus stop in here. That's the problem.
Madam, are you all set?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Yam?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Sonia reached out to me, said that her granddaughter was hit trying to cross the street from one side of the Merrimack Street, where the Decatur Street, and on the right side is the St. Baptist Church. There is no crosswalk at that intersection. School bus oftentimes stop at that corner, so to pick up the children to go to school. As Sonia mentioned, some of these drivers on this Merrimack Street did not stop. So her granddaughter was hit, and she urged that that the city would paint a crosswalk where the St. Baptist next to Decatur Street. So if you come travel west on Merrimack Street after Cabot Street, then you come to St. Baptist on the right-hand side. There should be a crosswalk there for the children to cross from one side of the Merrimack Street, go on to Aiken Street. So I'm asking, along with Sonia and the rest of the residents in that the manager and the proper department to paint the crosswalk on the Merrimack Street at the corner of Aiken Street. Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor and Manager.
Councillor Leahy?
Thank you. If I can ask also, that corner, Mr. Manager, is a problem. And if people just don't get the message, we should just be towing. People are parked right on the corners. You can't see pulling out if you do stop. It's a problem area. So the only way people are going to get the hint if we just start towing cars. I know it's a pain in the neck, but if someone can cruise around every couple of hours and write tickets and tow, I mean, it's tough coming from Aiken Street onto Merrimack there. So that would be my suggestion also.
Councillor Robinson?
Thank you. My colleagues bring up good points. I think we're still seeing cars parked right up the corners in some areas citywide. And also, I'm seeing cars parked in front of hydrants. Matter of fact, when I arrived to the meeting, there was a car parked in front of the hydrant right here out on Arcan. So I think we're going to have to really just start, showing people that they're not allowed to park on the corners. What is it? I think it's 20 feet per ordinance. So that I could point out multiple streets coming down Bridge Street that all these side streets that feed out onto Bridge Street on the west side of it, you're a third of the way out onto Bridge Street moving traffic before you can even see because the cars are parked right up to it. And again, I think this is another perfect example of, we saw a quick response by the university for pedestrian walkways, but there's quite a few areas near schools with high volume pedestrian children, young kid crossing. And I think that's something we need to take a look at, because I've been told kids crossing over by North Common, I believe. Even the crossing guard said that it's a speedway over there, and they were told that there's not much they can do. I don't know where we are with manpower able from the LPD to go out, but maybe some of these problem areas add an additional, patrols out during beginning of school and the release of school if possible. I think any of these measures will help. Thank you.
Councillor Kishia?
Thank you, Mayor Chow. Through you to Manager Golden. Manager Golden, do we know where we are currently on the crosswalk painting?
Mr. Manager?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, through the council. Council, we're approximately 3 days, 2 to 3 days left, due to the weather once again with this company coming in. It feels like it's been 5 days for the past 3 weeks, but we're 2 days left that I know that I last got the last update.
Thank you.
No other Councillor Leahy? Let's
Do you want to go first?
Councilor Mercier, go ahead, since Councilor Leahy already spoke.
When you have a member of your family that gets hurt through a car accident or getting hit by a car crossing the street, such as this lady has, it leaves a mark on you where you're petrified it's going to happen to somebody else. I had to go that way many, many years, going to St. Patrick's School. It is a very dangerous area with the main street on Merrimack Street, people coming relatively fast. So it's very important that we do get a crosswalk there to ease the lady's mind. And I'm wondering through you, Mr. Mayor, to the city manager, do we have crosswalks going across on Middlesex Street? I know that they did it, some part of Middlesex Street, but from the Vergaropolis Bridge down to, let's say, Market Basket all the way down, are there any crosswalks along letting people cross? Because a lot of children in the morning do wait for the bus and have to cross the street along there. So if we could take another look and see if we've done it. I'm not sure. I didn't see it relatively sooner, but I maybe it's been done since I last seen it. I don't know. So if you could just take a look, and kids line that street too, like this lady's child. So very dangerous, and we got to be safe, instill safety for our drivers. Thank you.
Mr. Manager?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, through to the council. Councilors, we will, I'm going to get a hold of the transportation engineer tonight, tomorrow, to find out where, and we'll update the entire council as to whether it is really 2 or 2.5, 3 days left
Sure.
with this contract.
Thank you.
Councilor Leahy?
Thank you. I just want to make one note to the manager's office that we should just review this contract for next year. Speaking strictly as a painter, it doesn't look like they give us much paint on the roads. I don't know if they're trying to catch up, but they're pretty light with what they're doing. So we should review that contract for next year would be a suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you. And that comment was strictly from a painter, not as a councilor, correct? No other comments or questions? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, say no. The ayes have it. Motion is carried. We now go back to where we left off the agenda on the motion response. Earlier, we took on motion response A, which was on Back Central by Councilor Scott. She tried to say something through Zoom, but the audio did not come out. But she did, this was a motion response from her, so she respectfully requested to be sent to the Joint Finance and Neighborhood Subcommittee. But for clarity, I'm going to have the councilor in the room to make that motion by Councilor Kishia. Would you like to make that motion to send to Joint Finance and Neighborhood Subcommittee, second by Councilor Yan? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, say no. The ayes have it. Motion is carried.
Mr. Mayor, on the motion, on the response, could I just ask a couple questions?
Sure.
Thank you. So this was done back in, most of the report here was done back in June of 2021. Could we have somebody outline what actually has been done since then, based off of the actual report? It looks like it says one of the things would be shared parking, a plan. So I just wonder, from the recommendations that are here, it's over 2 years later, what actually has been looked at, implemented, where are we?
Sure. Mr. Manager? Through DPD to DPD Director.
Thank you. So one of the initial focuses was to get the new system out throughout downtown for the kiosks and the new parking app. So that's one of the things that's been completed. We've been in discussions related to a variety of potential zoning changes. One of the things that is mentioned in the motion response is that there are areas in the city where shared parking through a private entity and the public is not allowed. And so in order to allow people to access, for example, if like a private business owner had a parking lot that they were willing to rent during off hours, we actually need ordinance language changes to make that happen. So the team at DPD has been reviewing the areas where that could be situated. We've also done some work on how we're implementing 15-minute parking spaces and trying to make sure that those requests are being pushed through the transportation engineer and thought through regarding how many spaces we're actually taking up using 15-minute parking. Although people ask for them a lot, we have to be careful about rolling those out sometimes. So taking a different approach for that. And those are the things that are off the top of my head at the moment.
So in the report, it says one of the most important recommendations on this plan is the ability to tap into nearby vacant spaces where drivers are afforded convenient options for regular parking, and revenue opportunities are potentially created for owners of private parking lots. How many private owners have we reached out to, and are they willing to? See, that's what my problem with all these reports is we just make a paper trail. And then when we push them aside because something else comes up, it takes our attentions away from these. And when you read this report, most of the downtown stuff we had to turn over because it failed. So it came to a fail point with the meters and stuff, so we had to change all that over. The 15-minute parking, everything was dialed into how do we do it better down there. These reports, whenever there's a report like this and you look at multiple neighborhoods like this, and I don't want to speak for Councilor Scott, but when you branch out, the downtown seems to get a lot of the attention from these reports, but there are other things, and that's what the question is. Even in your report, it clearly states that they're excited about the opportunity to add in necessary zoning regulations and work with the parking department to implement several of the recommendations to this study. Why haven't we done that yet? It's been almost 2 years, 3 months, and if it wasn't for Councilor Scott, I don't know that I would have seen this, but I don't know.
I did see a few hands go up to speak on this matter, but it has been referred to the subcommittee. Also, the maker of the motion is not present. So let's leave the comments and questions for subcommittee, where it will in turn will return to the full council here for discussion anyway. Before we go to the next motion response, we went over the presentation by Lhasa, but the presenter had difficulty with traffic. I'm going to just have that person to come make a quick presentation from Lhasa organization. It was already passed and approved by the council already, so maybe it's just a quick, brief welcoming or to the public that can go to the clinic this Saturday. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is Sushil Motwani. I am one of the volunteers at Lhasa Foundation. I was here 6 months ago also talking about the medical clinic. I have Dr. Anusuya from Lowell General Hospital. She is the head of the heads at the, let her introduce herself. So.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Gunturi. I'm the medical director of the Cancer Center at Lowell General Hospital, and also volunteering my time and efforts in doing this wonderful service to the Lowell community through the Lhasa organization. So we're holding a free screening and health fair medical clinic for anyone who, walks in or signs up and comes to us. The purpose of this is to bring a bunch of doctors who want to change healthcare for the better, especially for those who can't access healthcare for whatever reason, whether they don't have insurance or don't have a primary care doctor. And we intend to have a variety of specialists there, including endocrinologists, to counsel and do some basic testing for diabetics. We have cardiologists there that day, again, for heart disease and heart problems. We have internal medicine doctors, pediatrics for those who are young, and we'll also have nutrition, dentists, and physical therapists, ophthalmologists, a variety of services, as you can see. And we'll also have the vaccinations available, for COVID and flu vaccinations available. So we're really excited to have this health fair once again. We had a similar event 6 months ago and last year as well. And each time we're serving more and more people. So again, really happy that we're able to fill the need that's apparent in our community. So it's on October 21st, Saturday, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. The registration is open, but we'll also take walk-ins. We also have interpreters, live interpreters, as well as iPhone interpreter machines to help us converse with those who, for whom English is not their primary language. And we're also planning to have some representation from the Lowell Community Health Center to help those who want to register for Mass Health and other services that our state offers, and help people navigate that process for them.
Right. I'd like to add that we started this last year in October. Mayor inaugurated the event. We had about 150 folks who do not have access to medical care who came. That increased to 225 in the second one. We are hoping to get 300 people this time. The more people, if you can, spread the message, anybody who has, including people, who haven't been to a doctor, but they have medical, they just feel scared to come to this place. You'll get full, all your, the checkups would be done. I think it's an opportunity for all of us to do service to the community, and we want to continue doing this. If it becomes something that we need to do more frequently, we will. We felt the need at least once in 6 months for this town. So let's have we have some flyers. It talks about LASA Foundation in general, because we do not only medical clinics, we do many other things. We have soup kitchens. We cook for the homeless folks in the town of Lowell every Saturday. And we were part of the backpack drive that the mayor ran in the summer, where we had 108 backpacks that we prepared for the children, and we donated that to the town. So we try our best to do whatever we can for this wonderful town. And we'll be also supporting you this weekend for the marathon that's happening at the Bay State.
Thank you, Sushil and Doctor, for being here to make the presentation. I know that this is a free medical clinic, and medical doctors and experts from not only from Lowell General or the surrounding medical clinics, but from Boston and from out of state as well. And from what I remember, there'll be free reading glasses as well, provided that day as well, in addition to many other services. So it's great. It's a great clinic, and I'm looking forward to it. It's located at the Old Elks Club, right? In Pawtucketville, next to Market Basket.
Right behind the new Market Basket on Old Ferry Road.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you. Any comments, questions, Councilor Yam?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you to LASA. I remember the third year that you have done this wonderful work to help the community. The last year you came, and I mentioned that we would like to have you help the unhoused population in the city of Lowell by working with the co-op team that the city went out to all these encampment, and also work with the health department to help the unhoused to check. Similarly to what you've done at the LASA office location, the old the Ferry Road. So if you could also help with the city, and then work with the co-op team and the public health, go out to meet with the unhoused population. They need some helps in medical checkup and all of that. That would be awesome. So again, I want to thank you personally, because I've been to the center and I met some of the great staff who really do wonderful work for free to help people who may not have the insurance. So this is the opportunity for them to have physical checkup and all of that. I want to thank you again for what you have done for our city and for our residents and for the people. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Medical obviously is one thing that we are doing every 6 months, but we are willing to help the town, in the city, in absolutely anything and everything that you require help with. We have 300 plus volunteers who want to help. So it could be from, just like we did the backpacks. So if there's anything that the city needs where there is an absolute need, there's a huge poor population, underprivileged population in this town, we are here to help. Just reach out to us.
Yeah, and thank you for bringing that up. We have been having some conversations recently about how we can take this concept of free medical screening and clinic and take it to the people who can't even come to our institution, right? yes, we're getting 250 people through, maybe 300 this time, but that still leaves many others who are, for whatever reason, not able to travel and come to us. And how can we be creative and take what we have and go to them? So that's the next step, next phase in what we want to do. We have close to 25 doctors who are volunteering for this big event, but maybe if we break up into groups of 2 or 3 or 4, I know we had these conversations, and maybe do it more frequently and get into these neighborhoods, maybe a neighborhood where there's a large Cambodian population, maybe a neighborhood where there's a large African-American population. We can really do a lot more. And so we are absolutely thinking along those lines, and we would love to collaborate and hear from all of you and take it to a higher level soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you again, you both for being here. No other comments or questions?
Yes.
Thank you again.
I just wish there was a way they could cure my broken toe, because I can't get a shoe on it. Sorry, I broke my toe. It's killing me, but
We can talk about it. We'll be here again next week.
okay, good. Hope it's healed by then.
Maybe we'll bring an orthopedic doctor with us.
Here it is.
Thank you, Sushil. And Doctor, thank you. The Councilor Mercia, did you have your hand up early on some other matter?
No.
Okay. All right, the next motion response is the alphabet B. This is on update on City Hall traffic calming measures. Any comment, Councilor Leahy?
Thank you. Through you, the manager. Thank you. We spoke on this response today and appreciate the effort going forward. I wasn't happy. I don't want to say I'm not happy with the way the report was written. I wasn't happy with the way the results of the report. It's been a long time coming. We're trying to slow traffic down, especially in front of City Hall. But, you're going to try to get some extra signage out there and do what we can in the meantime. So I appreciate the effort. Thank you.
No other comments or questions on that motion response. We now go to the alphabet C. This is on capital replacement plan update. Any comment or question, Councilor Gishia?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to CFO Baldwin. CFO Baldwin, how long have we been working with the Collins Center on this?
Mr. Baldwin?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to the council, it's been since the beginning of the fiscal year. The finance team secured a grant from the governor's Community Compact program, and we've used that to engage the Collins Center on the update of the capital plan.
Do we have an end date on when they'll finish this whole project?
Sure. So the update and what dovetails with your motion, Councilor, was we're at a point where the project team has asked to engage some of the councilors, the finance subcommittee specifically. So they've met with department heads who are part of the capital plan, and now they'd like to make a presentation on an update, as well as solicit some feedback from the finance subcommittee. So we would ask that this matter be referred to the subcommittee for discussion. The plan and the deliverables are to incorporate with this year's capital plan.
So it should be done by June 30th of 2024?
That's correct.
Okay, so when I first became a city councilor, one of my major concerns was capital planning, as you've already known. I filed a motion back in January of 2022. And when it came back, it said the city maintains a rolling 5-year capital plan for vehicles. That's basically what I was asking for, and I ended up with, I'm not sure, all the way to get there. Do we have a rolling 5-year plan for all of our equipment? As it stated back in that memo back in July 30th, it said the city maintains a rolling 5-year capital plan for vehicles.
Yes, we do maintain a 5-year capital plan, not for vehicles. It's been many years since the city has included vehicles in the capital replacement plan. And so the capital plan that was presented and accepted by the council back in June, it was the most recent update of that. As part of this project, we've engaged the Collins Center to complete an inventory of all vehicles.
On my end, I think this is a tool that should be done long before it gets to the Collins Center by middle management. Middle management should know the tools they use, the equipment they have, cost. They should know condition. They should know all these things. And these things should be brought to your attention from middle management up, not down. It shouldn't be a top-down process, but it should be something that you ask, of course, you know, do you have a capital plan? And it should say, okay, this piece of equipment is at this, and we should have a cost of replacement on that. I don't understand how we're in 2023 and we don't know the vehicles, or we know them, and we even highlighted back in that July report, all, like half of them, the Parks Department alone has 133 pieces of equipment. Half of them have met their life expectancy and are over that. When I came to an event that was out here just the other day, the employee event, it might have been a couple months ago because they all run together, as Mr. Golden looks at me. There's vehicles out here pulling equipment that have expired inspection stickers. I don't know if that's going to hold up, if the frame's rotted or why it has it, but they're all over the place. And, you know, the hard part is sitting here and watching them not be proactive in the replacement of these things and saying, okay, here's my list, here's my replacement cost, here's this. It seems like we throw a number at the board, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think the number this year is like $1 million in monies for DPW. That's 2 trucks. There's 133 just in the Parks Department alone. So, I mean, as we go forward, and I know that's what the plan is going forward, but you've been here a long time. And you know, when I was at the Water Department, I pushed for that. The backhoe, I had to go to Rita Mercia to try to get a backhoe because they cut it out, and the thing was ready to fall apart as we drove across the city. And then you get reprimanded by going to a counselor because upper management didn't understand equipment. And here we are again. We need the Collins Center to tell us what we actually need. And I know it's a bigger study than just the equipment. But the equipment should be something that is in-house. It should be, any adequate manager should know what their equipment is, what the replacement cost is, what the value of the equipment they currently have is. And I know you're looking at me because that's what most places do. And that's what I'm trying to bring up. I've been trying to bring this up for a year and 10 months, that we're putting people at risk. Any vehicle out there that has an expired inspection sticker should not be on our road. And I know what that puts you into, a dilemma of trying to get things done because now we don't have vehicles for people and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's the safety of the person running it and also the residents. And they're out there, one parked right out front. And we have to do something quick. And there's a lot of pieces of equipment here, and that's what I was looking for, more or less, was the 5-year capital plan with actual outlines. Okay, this is the piece of equipment, this is the replacement cost, this is its current value, and where we're going to put that in the line, because I know that we're strapped for money. I understand that. But we have services we have to provide, and it's just a part of the job. Thank you.
Councilor Robinson?
Thank you. Something that was discussed before when I was an employee here, and I don't know if this is something this team has ever looked at. I believe I filed a motion on it too. We don't really have, it seems like the garage situation in the DPW specifically is kind of in a tough bind. I believe we only have 4 or 5 mechanics servicing the entire fleet for all the DPW currently. We discussed years ago if each of the larger departments within DPW had their own garage, like we did at one time, and kind of a centralized computer system that was tied in. Then the mechanics would be able to know all the information when you start looking at vehicle inventory and equipment inventory, as far as serial numbers, what the service, routine service and upkeep has been on each individual piece, even log in what the shelf life is potentially on each. And I think technology like that, if implemented correctly, would kind of help with this heavy lift in-house. Because now you'd be able to schedule, or department heads would be able to schedule accordingly as to what they anticipate going out or coming in annually. And that way, at the blink of an eye, you'd be able to pull up and see where are we reaching the shelf life on a lot of this equipment. And if we're not, is it mechanical failure? Is it failure on our part to do the required maintenance? I think that missing piece right there could go a long way towards these efforts. Thank you.
Mr. Manager?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, through to the council. Council, that's exactly one of the things that this is talking about in regards to implementing in the vehicle pilot program, which we actually changed within the CBA, that we could put those indicators on there. The indicators saying when does gas need, when does oil need to be changed? How is the braking? We've received a lot of, actually the Assistant City Manager as well as Commissioner St. Cyr, I believe it was 4 vehicles that we had tested. And it gave us a plethora of information, which we're in the process of we're going to probably contract out with someone. We have to put that back out for 30B to see if it's the correct organization we want to use. But that's exactly what we've been trying to do. And this is the way we're trying to change it with this particular report going back and forth. With the ARPA money that we've put forth with $1 million in the capital piece, which wasn't enough, but we felt as though ARPA would help as well. The vehicles, one of the other issues we're having is vehicles are just simply not available. We're trying to purchase certain types of vehicles, and it's taking 3, 6, 9 months. The Assistant City Manager is just telling me some of the vehicles that we've already put out, we won't be getting until sometime in June. So that's one of these. It's a major change that I think the city is seeing, and it has been seeing since this council has taken over. This council with the capital piece, with the support of ARPA, with changing some of the vehicles out within wastewater and the such. So I think we are going in that way, and of course this with the number of vehicles we're dealing with this right now with the fire department, not on the fire trucks, but on the secondary pieces. We're trying to actually find pieces that can be replaced. What is quote unquote on the lot as opposed to what's going to be available 6, 8 to 10 months from now. We're having that's another concern, or that's another problem. But I think that the best practice that Councilor Gitchu is bringing up is we're trying to implement these best practices, and this change is indeed happening here in the city.
All set, Councilor?
Thank you.
Councilor Gitchu?
Mr. Manager, I don't want anybody leaving here with me thinking that this is about your administration. This goes back many years, and when you look at capital planning, exactly, we all know that it takes for certain pieces of equipment. Pickup trucks, vans, stuff like that, you can get off of lots. But a lot of the bigger trucks, you can't. And that's what the problem is. If we dial in and we start capital planning, we plan out, and then these things won't get to the conditions they're in. And it has nothing to do with your administration, because I believe that when we came up with the fire trucks with the past administration and your administration, it has been an unbelievable outcome. We're just saying, okay, look, it's been almost 1 year and 10 months since that motion. Where are we? That was the reason for the motion.
Mr. Manager?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, through to the council. Council, believe me, we feel and share the frustration. When we're trying to order vehicles, I can tell you that we were just ordering 2 new sweepers, and I know that the commissioner was here, and we've gotten every assurance that it was done and it was completed, only to find out that it wasn't. And we're in the process of looking at another. As luck be have it, we demoed a new sweeper that I think that the folks were very happy with that work it. So some of this is in a good way, some of it is in just a challenging way. But what we're finding out right now is not to reiterate or not to belabor the point, is that the days of going on to any Chevy, Ford, whatever lot and just saying, I'm going to take those 3 F-250s, 350s, whatever, that doesn't exist at this point in time. So we are pretty frustrated with the inventory. And of course, what's happening with, I think it's GMC right now, with what they're threatening to do right now, that's not going to help us either. But this council has pushed for this change. This entire council has pushed for this change. And I think within this report, within the ARPA monies, within the monies that we put forth in the capital piece, we will be changing. And I'll be very happy to say, I'll be very happy when we turn all of these vehicles over as they should be, as most of them, a lot of them should be.
I would just ask one thing. When you come to budget time again, and I may not be here, but when you come to budget time again, that you list the exact vehicles that are being replaced in the cost. And I don't think that's hard for these middle managers to do. CFO Baldwin would have much more strength if he actually knew what was out there, the replacement cost in advance, and it's easier to plan those fundings out. But when someone comes in and says, I need $1 million, and you're thinking, wow, $1 million will replace 12 pieces of equipment. then you find out it's only 2 6-wheelers. You know, that's not his forte. He looks at what is the cost, replacement cost, what is the value of the piece of equipment we have. That's what CFOs do. They don't go into garages and ask, okay, what's this van worth? And that's where we're missing right now, is we don't have a list of value for vehicles all the way through and what their replacement costs are. And that's how we would be able to plan the future, not based off of, okay, there's 133 pieces of equipment. What is the value of that 133? We don't know that. And that's all I'm saying to you is I would hold the middle management accountable to find out what at least the 5-year plan is in value of vehicles that are going to be replaced.
Any other comments or questions? Councilor Robinson?
Through you to the manager, in your opinion, do you think we currently have the right organizational structure when it comes to our garages to maintain the fleet, or do you anticipate some organizational structural changes in the near future to try to do things more efficient? Because you know, we all hear the stories how pieces of equipment go down, and because we're taxed with the so few mechanics as is, it's like they're still working on, say, a street sweeping machine that has to hit the road back tomorrow, where they don't even have a second to start getting the winter stuff ready, and they're juggling too much. Whereas, do you anticipate organizational structures with our garages?
Mr. Manager?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, through to the council. Council, yes, the flexibility was granted to the administration for that change, and I do see that change coming. When, Councilor, I wish I could say, tomorrow, but it is something we've considered. But it's really due, once again, to this city council that gave the administration the ability to make those changes, that flexibility, if we need to make that happen. And quite frankly, in some of the CBAs, when we made those changes, there was a lot of flexibility that's been granted to the administration that we would be in the process. So to answer your question, with a blanket, yes, I do see some change. I just don't know. We're looking at how and what. Should everything be under one roof? Should it not be under one roof? How do we pool all of the talents that we have within our mechanics? We have mechanics that are really good at this, really good at that. Should they all be together working under one roof? Where would that be? We've had just different discussions on that. As you know the garages as well as I do. We have some, but I wouldn't say we have a plethora of garages. We do not have that. It's the ability to make a decision and go with it if we're going to have one centrally located garage with all the mechanics working side by side.
Thank you. See, I think to bring efficiency in at the lowest cost, so the idea of a centralized garage is what got us to where we are today. Initially, each division pretty much had their own garage, and they focused on their own fleet. That way, it wasn't like, say, parks equipment going down to the street department, taken away from what the street had prioritized because they had to work on the parks, and vice versa. Parks had their own, streets had their own. Streets kind of facilitated everyone in that building down on Middlesex, and it wasn't perfect, but it worked a lot better. They went up, a group of the administration went up and toured Manchester, saw what they had just built, a multi-million-dollar facility, which Lowell currently, we don't have a location that we could even consider, never mind the money. I mean, you're talking a state-of-the-art facility that could service pretty much the entire community. For efficiency purpose and the most bang for your buck, so to say, I mean, you still have existing garages in a lot of the divisions that just aren't really fully built out. So, I mean, I think that might be something worth exploring at least to see how can we alleviate some of this logjam with the one small garage we have currently. Thank you.
No other comments or questions. We go to the next motion response, the alphabet D. This is on wash out of areas along city streets. Motion by Councilor Leahy. Any comments or questions, Councilor?
I just want to thank the administration for the thought that they put into this report. Instead of just, putting dirt back in, there's alternatives here for long-term planning, and it's been quite a summer. So once we can start getting to some of these washed-out areas, I'm glad that we're going to try to take care of the issue versus just cover it up. So thank you.
Councillor Kishia.
Mr. Mayor, on some of these things, if the manager can just write down, I think it's 66 Surrey Lane. They did a pavement project over there, and when they backfilled it in, it was with unscreened loam, and now it doesn't grow well. So if you can look at that, I think it was 66 Surrey. It was that little area in there. It's just rock. Thank you.
No other comments or questions. The next motion response is on public usage schedule and website calendars. Any comments or questions? Councillor Robinson?
Thank you for this report. See, I think, I'm glad, thank you, I believe it was Case that made the recommendation, or Deandra.
Through Mr. Manager to...
I think if we could, you know, I'll follow, I'm happy with the recommendation. Ultimately, I'm sure we're all aware, our website is wonky. Sometimes you have to fish around for a while to find something basic. The other day, I forget exactly what it was I was looking for a resident, and I just couldn't find it. I gave up. I don't know. I know you've told me and explained to the council in the past how, I don't know if it's the platform we're using or the design of our website. It's just, we're limited kind of as to what we can do, what we can add, subtract from it. This might be something I think maybe in the future to look at, maybe a complete rebuild. But for right now, I think this at least satisfies what I was looking for, because a forward-facing calendar for any of these events is huge. So many people I speak to, and they say, hey, I hopped on the city. How come it's not that easy to find, say, what's going on this weekend or month or week in Lowell? Or it's not that easy to find what fields have been permitted. So that way, I get, like, all of these basic things that are looked at kind of high volume. It's not just a direct. And even like the Parks and Rec, they offer so much programming and so many activities, but it's so strange the way you have to get to their calendar, which is separate. And again, it's a function of the city of Lowell. So any thoughts, or maybe it's a work in progress, and maybe we can get together and put it in a subcommittee in the future. But I think we need to really look at how can we streamline information on our website so it becomes a one-stop shop for all our residents, and it's clear to navigate and easy to navigate. But thank you for the recommendation, and that's fine for now. It'll be better than what we had. Thank you.
Any other comments? Councillor Murcia?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Who puts together the city website? Is it people in MIS? Is it each individual departments? Who's responsible for creating and putting together a city website? Do we know anything about that?
Mr. Manager?
That'd be all the, thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you to the council. It'd be all departments, for instance, like Lowell, Case would put that together, if that's what you're asking, Councilor. The calendar, if you're talking about the rec calendar, then that would be the folks down at the rec department. Is that what you're asking?
Well, let's say that I go into the city website. First off, I'd like to see DPW, Department of Public Works. I had a motion to put the table of organization there. I don't think that's very difficult, because people want to go into the DPW, and I'm using that for an example, and say, who's in charge and who can I call and this, that, and the other. And I don't, is that too much to ask, or what? Is that very difficult to ask?
Mr. Manager?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through to the council. No, Councilor, it's not. What would happen is DPW or any of those agencies would put that together, send it over to MIS.
Oh, send it over to MIS. And that's like the head one, the brains behind that does all that.
However, I'm going to yield a little bit of time when we're talking about like Lowell.
Because I understand that special events and programs that are happening, that's very important too. But there are people out there that want services provided, and they don't know, they look, let's say, the planning department, and they don't know who should I call. Maybe Yvonne, maybe I want to see her up there as the person to go to call or whatever. You see what I'm saying? That's what people are asking me. I'm only relaying a message, because I probably won't go on it, but I'm just curious to find that out. Because I think it's fascinating. It's a footprint, it's a handprint, it's all about the city of Lowell. It's like a, I don't know, it's like a signature. Let's go into the City of Lowell website and see all this. There's so much information we can give people. That's all I'm concerned about, yeah.
Mr. Manager?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, through the council. Council, I'm with you on this. So once again, I'm going to use Commissioner of Public Works. He'd get all that information over to MIS, and MIS would update it. The caution that I would bring is when we're talking about any of our social media accounts. The social media guru is behind us, Ms. Silk. So anything that comes on from Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, and I think I went over one, but Ms. Silk would put that together for us. So there are multiple hands at it, but talking with the department heads are looking at their own page, updating their pages as they see fit through MIS.
I was just curious, how does that work? So that's good.
I don't know if, Ms. Silk, if you have anything else to...
That's correct. Each department is, on the city website, is responsible for the content on their department pages.
So who's responsible for the council? Who's responsible for the bio of the council? We're not responsible for our own, or are we? Oh, well, I better.
I've heard my assistant's name's mentioned. He's assisting in gathering information.
Oh.
I would have to defer that to the Mr. Manager, MIS, or Communications Department. But I think, I agree with you, Councilor. I think we need to make the website as vibrant, as alive as the city itself. That's what we're trying to look for. And we'll task that with the manager's office going forward.
Thank you. That's just a thought.
Okay. Councilor Gishia?
Thank you, Mayor Charles. Just to add more to the manager, when someone registers online for meeting notices, they're not getting it that way, and you have to call the clerk, and the clerk does it, but that shouldn't be his job. They go online and they try to register just to get the council packet or the meeting notices. When you go online and use the city way, it doesn't register them for it. That's at least what the residents are telling us.
All right. You okay? You don't want any response, just a comment? Okay, we'll call Councilor Nguyen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Manager, what I heard from Ms. Sill is that she's indicated that each department responsible for their own content. So what role is MIS play in having an update and having a correct content and having, any update events on the city website?
Mr. Manager?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through to the council. MIS essentially will wait for, we just had one today, as a matter of fact. There was a problem on one of the forms where the name didn't ring up. So we just reached out to MIS, and MIS made that change. So once again, it's incumbent upon the department heads to look through their section on the website. And then from there, if there's any corrections to be made, contact MIS, and MIS will make those corrections.
So am I to understand that MIS is responsible for the content or the update content of each department? Is that correct?
Councilor, no. They would be in charge of, say, tech support. They would be the people making the change. For instance, Tom Golden Jr. and I wanted to change it to Thomas A. Golden Jr. They would provide the technical expertise. I'm looking at two folks that do this more often than I do, but they would provide the technical expertise to make that change on the website of lowellma.gov, not necessarily our Facebook posts and our social media, which is all of Ms. Silk.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, just to add to that as well. If there were an issue where a department wanted to update information and was running into an issue, MIS is there for support and they provide training, so they help make all of that happen. But for that subject matter expertise that only a department has, really, of knowing what they want up and what needs to come down or needs to be edited, that's really coming from the department, but MIS is there for that support.
Has there been, and how often there's a meeting with, the appoint person from the department with MIS as to how we should make this work friendly and efficiently going forward?
Mr. Manager?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through to the council. We meet once a month, and that is one of the pieces that I don't think I brought it up last month, but we've brought it up a couple of times in the past. Periodically, people will call me and say, did you know that something was awry on this particular part? And once again, reaching out to the technical experts at MIS, they are the ones that make the changes. An example would be anything over in the division services. The folks at MIS don't necessarily know about health permits per se. So it's incumbent upon the department head to make sure that piece is grammatically correct or whatever the case needs to change. They let the technical folks know, and the technical folks will change it.
So from what I heard from you, there's certainly room for improvement in this area, like anything else in life, right?
Councilor, there's always room for improvement. Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Robinson?
Just to get back to this motion, I think this actually calls for a motion to really start looking in, maybe, I don't know what subcommittee, maybe technology or something, information technology, a motion just to really start getting together with CASE, MIS, the administration, and even looking at, I think a good start could be, let's look at what other communities are doing for websites that appeal and are easy to use and provide everything we've been discussing. But back to this motion at least. So currently, as I was mentioning, you have lowellma.gov homepage calendar, you have likelowell.com/calendar, and you have lowellrec.com calendar. Those are 3 calendars, all separate pages. So the recommendation is to pretty much integrate or at least import the rec and the Lake Lowell community calendar to replace the footer in the homepage where we have the council information currently?
Correct. So not the calendars themselves, but just information about how to access those calendars and what those calendars are for. So if you get to the bottom of the page and you see the lowellma.gov regular calendar, which is everything we have going on at City Hall, well, that's not the calendar I'm looking for. I'm looking for something like the Lowell Rec calendar. So that area, that slideshow, would also present information of, well, if you're looking for this calendar, go here. So just to kind of be more of a hub to direct people where they need to go and find the information that they're actually looking for.
Okay, thank you for that. And one thing I know myself, when I browse a website for the first time, I see something that kind of keys in and allows me to figure out is always like a graphic or something that represents what you're looking for. So whether it's a rec logo or whether it's a Lake Lowell logo and someone just hits it, I think that kind of helps to guide people. Because even if English might not be your primary language, that might be enough to key in and click to get to where you want to go.
Yeah, sorry. Agree. And I think that's what's neat about that area is that we can include an image and text to really help people understand quickly where they need to go and what they're looking for.
Thank you very much for the report. And so what would be the step to approve? Do we need a vote to approve the recommendation that's on this report?
We'll take the whole motion at the end to accept all the reports for the motion response tonight. It's fine. Anybody else has their hands up?
Yes,
Lucia?
thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just out of curiosity, through you to the city manager, as far back as I can remember, when there was a city council meeting on a Tuesday, the very next day, whoever was the city manager at 9 o'clock would gather all the department heads together to say, well, we had this motion last night, so you take that. And do you do that, Mr. Manager?
Mr. Manager?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through to the council. That's the agenda meeting. Yes, Councilor, we don't do it at 9, but we always have an agenda meeting, then follow it up, matter of fact, today, with another meeting for tonight. So
Oh.
we tend to have 2 meetings, one after the council meeting and then one prior to talk about what needs to happen for tonight.
You have one after this meeting?
Not tonight,
Oh.
Councilor. We'll have one again tomorrow.
Okay.
And then contact
Thank you.
everyone via
Yeah, I
email.
was wondering. Yeah, thank you.
We tend to do it with whoever has something coming up before for the next following week.
Yes,
and,
yes,
and
that's
then
a
we
good
have a
one.
meeting prior to.
Yep, thank you.
No other comments or questions on this motion response. The last motion response is the alphabet F. This is on utility boxes as public art. Both Councilor Gishier and Councilor Ness had this motion forward. Any comments or questions, Councilor Gishier?
Mr. Mayor, I just want to thank Peter Crew and his staff for putting this together. I look forward to seeing the utility boxes that get painted in the spring. Thank you.
Any other comments? Councilor Leahy?
Yes, quickly, through you to Mr. Crew. So when you mention the barrels in this report, are you talking the Parks barrels and stuff?
Yeah, we're talking about working, excuse me, that was louder than I intended. We're talking about working with DPW on the green Parks barrels and designating some of those to transform into opportunities for more artists and art.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Councilor Robinson?
Thank you. So as far as, that kind of confused me a little bit because I've had preliminary conversations with the manager. I've actually spoken to a principal at one of the schools over in Centerville. I've actually had a preliminary conversation with Refuge. I think one of the things we all hear is the lack of public receptacles. And I thought this way, going out securing the 55-gallon green metal drums, and over the winter, maybe winter, spring, bringing in some like youth, some local younger artists to design whatever they want to do on the barrels within reason. You know, we'd carve out the scope and then roll them out in the spring in key strategic places that need them. I think that's a great project. So, but I just didn't understand how that kind of got lumped in with the electrical box piece. I didn't see on the motion it requested anything with the. You know, this motion was about pretty much a program to partner with local artists to utilize utility boxes on city property. So I just think the barrel piece kind of should be separate from this because there's so many different community-based partners that could be pulled into this. And as well as, I know they wrote up a basic request here. And again, how many barrels are we looking at? What organizations are willing to take barrels to do this kind of work? How many, like, I think there's a lot that needs to be flushed out when we start looking at the barrel component, but as far as the utility boxes, I think that's pretty much a lot easier to accomplish out the gate because, perfect example, over in Centerville, Welcome to Centerville sign, the project that the Centerville Neighborhood Group was just awarded to do work on, there's actually a utility electrical box right at that location. So, I mean, there is a ton of those around the city, too. Thank you.
Mr. Manager?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, through to the council. Council, that was on me. The barrels as well as the utility boxes, looking for the beautification side, I was thinking one and the same. And I believe Mr. Crew looked at it from a professional stipend fee as well as the community, if I read the second half of materials, the barrels supplied by DPW, as well as, if I'm going to say children, that's what I think we're dealing with, young adults maybe, to paint the utility box for the barrels. And Mr. Crew, I'll leave it to you on that second half, because we did want it to break it up, I believe, by artists that we're paying, as well as community members that might be from a school that we had discussed. So the merging of those two is on me, Councilor. We can break that apart in the future.
You all set, Councilor? Councilor Yam?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was thinking of also add on to the barrel, we have bus stops and stuff like that. I know the city don't own the bus stop, but the bus stop can be also a place where the arts is being displayed as well. Just a thought, Mr. Manager and Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilor. Thank you, Peter Crew, for being here. I know that you answering for the utility box is public art, but just public art in general, you've been doing a great job. And I know you have the Art Up public art exhibition downstairs in the main lobby, and you have an artist here, Mr. Cunha, who's here to for the experience. Could you speak on that briefly about the public art display downstairs for about 30 seconds? Because of also my friends' daughters, Mumbi and Nelly, who are visiting here for the first time. They enjoy the artwork a lot. Can you speak briefly about the artwork?
Sure, happy to, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, so earlier this evening, we welcomed artists from the Arts League of Lowell. Their art is currently on display downstairs and will be on display through the end of the month. This is sort of the culmination of the 2023 calendar year of art in City Hall that we premiered early this year. We are definitely looking to continue that and think that project has been hugely successful over the last year in terms of elevating visibility and opportunity for local artists. And we plan to certainly continue that forward next year. And we're delighted to have local artists here tonight to help us recognize that.
Thank you. Councilor Mercia?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I'm also very, very pleased when I make a motion and it gets done and things happen, it's so exciting. And when I come through the downtown to come through the city, and I see that the empty storefronts do not have those paper bags and whatever in front of the windows, but have all kind of artwork, it's so refreshing to see that. I rather see them full, but if they're not, I'm so grateful to see the artwork. So thank you so much for that, and thank you for the artists and their talent, because it looks very nice. Thank you.
Appreciate that, Council. I would be remiss if I didn't also give Mosaic Lowell credit for that. They've been a huge partner in developing the downtown window art project.
Yes, very nice. Thank you.
Any other comment? Councilor Robinson?
I would just like to thank everyone that made this happen, too. Started with a conversation. We were having a problem with an area, one of the gateway under the bridge, Hunts Falls overpass coming into Centerville. Problem with repeated graffiti. Spoke to the manager about it. Kicked around the idea of putting something that would be transformative, bright, colorful, and kind of change the feel of that area. And as well, I noticed Mass Highway DOT was over there cutting the overgrowth, so that's a win-win. But anyways, if anyone hasn't seen it yet, coming in from Drake on 110, once you go into the Hunts Falls Rotary, a local artist, Frank Guy Formation, I believe, Case, everybody has played a part in this, and what a difference. The yellow and the blue wall, Happy Cloud motif that he's pretty much his signature. He's carved out, and you see it in many areas of the city. It immediately changed the feel, and I've had a lot of residents, something as simple as a colorful cherry mural, say, getting out of work, I drove by there, and wow, it looks great. Great. Like, a lot of positive reviews, and I think the city has pivoted into a position where our residents enjoy public art. And so I'm looking forward to future projects. Thank you.
No other comments or questions. Thank you, Peter, for being here. That completes the motion responses. We now move on to item 4.2. These are the informational reports. We'll start with the ARPA ad hoc round 2 announcements. Mr. Manager.
Thank you very much. I'd like to first and foremost say thank you to Mr. Flynn and his team for all the hard work they've been doing. We've been churning this stuff out, and trust me, please stop by and you can see in my office the amount of work they go through, each and every one of them. And I have to say to Mr. Flynn, thank you very much, because sometimes the applications aren't exactly where they need to be, but your team, you and your team have got everybody where they needed to be. And if you want to talk about the $116,000 that we gave out tonight. Thank you, Mr. Flynn.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. And I can't take all the credit. I have a great team, Jessica Finicaro and Kamara Chun, on a daily basis. They just crush it over and over and over. And the big binders that the manager's talking about is all of the work from Jess. So she deserves a lot of credit for what we do. So as was mentioned in the memo that was sent to the manager, this is the sort of the second half of the ad hoc grant program. We had looked at a total of 9 additional applications, and these were all applications that had come in after we had our cyber incident. So there was a delay in sort of timing, which worked out well for us to break them into two groups. Out of the 9, the same 5-person committee had reviewed these, that also reviewed the first grouping. And we awarded 5 recipients, totaling $116,800. There should be a copy of sort of a rundown of the different programs, and I'll just announce them really quick here. Life Connection Center for their emergency services for the homeless and medically compromised, $28,000. The Lowell Litter Crew for their home-based project was $4,800. Thrive Communities for their Circle Keeper initiative was $30,000. Women's Money Matters for their financial wellness program, another $30,000. And the YWCA of Lowell with their roaming resource van was $24,000. We had an event earlier tonight to sort of, honor and appreciate their accomplishments, which some of the members of the council were here for, and the mayor was there as well. And overall, that wraps up that particular grant program. So in total, out of the $500,000 that we had set aside for the ad hoc program, we have awarded $469,000 and change. So that remaining $30,000 will get reinvested in new grant opportunities that we plan on announcing sometime in January. We want to take the rest of this year to wrap up any loose ends and come up with a great program to sort of kick the year off in 2024.
Thank you for the presentation. Any comments or questions from any of the council members? Hearing none, I was able to attend that brief award ceremony earlier, and these are all well-deserved organizations. Thank you and your team. As you mentioned, they're doing great work to have from the smallest organization to the big organization here in the city of Lowell. Thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
We'll now go to the next information report. This is on the bond sale, capital improvements, and budgetary savings. Mr. Manager.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, through to the council. Council, as you'll see in your packet, that there was a bond sale that was completed, I say completed, on September 17th. There was a competitive bid that was put out, and 7 people did bid it. It was for the $70 million for a 30-year general obligation. Of that $70 million, $30 million is directed towards Lowell High School. It is important to note that Morgan Stanley ended up being the winning bid. They came in at 4.024%, which I think was pretty good. It's overall going to realize close to a $400,000 net savings for us. The par value, as you can read in your packet, was also reduced by $3 million. The city rating that everybody knows is AA minus, excuse me. But however, we were able to borrow at AA plus, which is a state qualified bond. It's important to note and not to overlook this, that S&P talked about the reason they bid on this was the city's strong financial policies and strong management skills. The Municipal Finance Oversight Board, the MFOB, which is chaired by the state auditor of the Department of Revenue, they also noted that the city of Lowell is in a strong financial position. At this point in time, in regards to this bond sale, I just want to say thank you very much to Connor Baldwin, our CFO, as well as Mr. Panagiotopoulos, our city treasurer, and the entire finance team for putting together a package that brought 2 organizations to the same thought process, that the finances as well as the financial condition of the city is in good, strong working order. So thank you very much, Mr. Baldwin, and to your team. If there's any questions, I'm glad to take them.
Any comments or questions by any of the council members? Hearing none, that was, I saw a thumbs up of approval from all the councils. Mr. Manager, we'll now go to the next informational report on Boston Capital presentation on 733 Broadway Street. Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have this slide. Okay.
Technical piece.
Got it right here.
If I may.
It's up there? Okay. Perfect. Got it. Thank you.
Would the presenter also state your name so we know how to address you?
Sure.
What comments
Thank you,
and
Mr.
questions?
Mayor. Yes, my name is Rich Mazaki. I'm a principal with Tremont Development Partners. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be here tonight to give a quick update on the 733 Broadway Street proposed development that we've been working on. So a little bit about the project. First, I'll give a brief overview. 52 units of affordable housing. This opportunity was really unlocked by the Merrimack Valley Food Bank announcing that they were planning to relocate their facility. Created a wonderful opportunity to provide affordable housing for the city. In terms of the development team, I'm with Tremont Development Partners. We have recently undergone a name change. You've seen in the past our filings have been under the name Boston Capital Development Partners. There's no change in the day-to-day operations of our business, and this is really just the result of a transition and retirement of one of our principals. I have a few slides here that show some renderings of our building. So it's a 4-story building, at grade parking under the building, 52 spaces, and again, 52 apartment units above on the 3 stories. A couple things to point out here in terms of the facade materials, brick. It's a combination of brick and fiber cement panels, so hardy plank type clapboards. We also step back the building, as you can see at the Broadway elevation, just to make it appropriate scale for the neighborhood. Next slide here is the Ting Street view. So this also shows just kind of the appropriate scale to the neighborhood. We have the Lowell Housing Authority building just behind at a similar height to our building. One thing I'd point out here on the right side of the screen, we are preserving the existing facade of the historic building that exists there today. Worked through that process with the Historic Board, very collaborative process, and a pleasure to deal with the board throughout that process. On the Schaefer Street side, again, preserving a historic portion of the facade of the building, and then we have our residential above. And this just shows the overall site plan with the footprint. We are using, as you can see, most of the 3/4 of an acre site. We will have some recreational space that is between the left side of the building and the neighboring properties, as well as towards the back there. So just a little bit about the program, the development program. We have 21 one-bedroom units, 26 2s, and 5 3s. One of the important objectives really at the state level is to promote family housing. So over 60% of the units are really set up for families with 2 and 3 bedroom units. We have 11 units at 30% of area median income. Those will all have project-based rental subsidy with them, and then 41 units at 60% of area median income. That's roughly $80,000 a year for a family of 4. And again, rents ranging from $1,500 to $2,100, several $100s below any market rate properties in the surrounding area. So our schedule, we are planning to start construction end of first quarter in 2024. We were awarded by the state this past summer, and are really working to just gather all the financing partners and start the closing process to move towards a closing. And thanks to the city for putting in, we have a $250,000 home funds allocation from the city of Lowell. So much appreciated. Our pre-leasing and marketing will kick off in the spring of 2024, so about a year into construction, and then we plan to deliver units late summer, early fall 2025. So those are the comments that I had for an overview. I'd be happy to answer any questions on the project.
Thank you, Richard. We'll start with Councilor Yam.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thanks, Rich, and the company who will transform this section of Broadway Street, which have never had any major development, and this will help rejuvenating that section of the acre. And I'm very proud of what you doing. And my understanding is the tax credit is 40 years, right? From what I know. Normally the tax credit is 15 years. I personally developed a affordable housing on Middlesex Street, 60 Middlesex Street. The tax credits only last for 15 years, but my understanding it will be a 40 years affordability, right? If you may share with the councilor.
Sure. Yeah. Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, that's correct. It will be in excess of 40 years of affordable housing with the tax credit program through the HLC with the state.
Also, in May, the governor and lieutenant governor and the secretary of housing came to the site to announce the grants for not just the 733, 785 Broadway Street, but throughout the state. This says a lot about the project, about the city, and about this administration and this council. You know, we providing a more affordable housing for the people of Lowell, and working with the governor to fulfill that mission of create more housing, you know, in the Commonwealth and also particularly in the city of Lowell as well. So I appreciate what you do, and hopefully by everything is done, the Broadway from School Street all the way to UMass Lowell is going to be beautiful to accommodate the new building and the new development that is just happening there. Thank you.
Right. Thank you.
Councilor Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To the speaker, thank you very much for this presentation. We're very happy to get more affordable housing in the city. 52 units is pretty good. I'm very happy about that. On a negative note, I wish you would have thought of printing that out so we could have had a copy of what this brief presentation was. I don't think it would have been that bad. That'd be nice if we had that. Thank you.
Miss
Councilor Nguyen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you to the Tremont Development Partners and you as their representative for being here. And thank you for investing in Lowell in terms of the affordable housings. It's one thing with regard to, is there a timeline for this and when you are starting and when you, the timeline from here, when's the finish, when people can move in this project?
Sure, I can answer that. So we plan to start construction in March of 2024. Completion is scheduled for fall of 2025. And we'll start our leasing process generally 6 months before opening. We have a management company, Maloney Properties, who manages several properties in Lowell on the affordable housing side of the business, and they will really run a lottery program and the marketing process for the units.
How will that information share to the resident of Lowell as to the lottery process and all that?
There will be public advertising, and we would be happy to collaborate with the city and other local organizations to get the word out when we're starting that marketing process.
Also, would it be possible for you to share the PowerPoint that you just presented, as Councilor Mercia indicated? Our copy would be great, but if not, then we can just get a share to the city administration so that the council can have it.
Yes,
thank you.
Absolutely, I'd be happy to print copies for the council.
Thank you.
If that's needed.
Any other comments or questions? Here none. I echo the comments of the council. Thank you for being here. Very exciting project. It's a great partnership between the private and the public sector. It's wonderful news. Thank you.
Thank you.
We now move on to the next information report. This is on DLS Finance Fellowship Program. Mr. Manager.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, through to the council. This is a wonderful opportunity that the Division of Local Services from the Department of Revenue gave us, and it was really a great opportunity. If I know a few of the councilors had an opportunity to meet Lily Kao. She worked with us, and it really was part of, she worked in the finance department, and it was really part of our plan to continue the developing of our pipeline. And unfortunately, I'm now hearing that we had our eye on Lily. She did a fabulous job for our finance team, but she's been scooped up already. So we will continue to work and to take those opportunities to expand our pipeline. But the good thing is she was scooped up by an agency within the city of Lowell. So that's a good thing. However, it's just not here in this building. So she was a wonderful attribute, and I think that the CFO would say a few words about how great the program was. And I think it's, once again, it gives us that continued opportunity that this council has talked about time in and time again about developing our pipeline. And this is something that the CFO had found through DLS. Mr. CFO.
Thank you, Mr. Manager, and very briefly to the council. These are the types of programs we're looking to implement through not only the finance department, but throughout city government to try to bring students from Middlesex Community College, students from the high school, the University of Massachusetts, to try out some of the positions in local government so that they can see what it's like, see the day-to-day operations. And we got very lucky with Lily, and I want to thank Deputy CFO Austin Ball for putting together the program to get her into all of the departments, but it was a tremendous success, and we look forward to participating again next year. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any other comments or questions on this matter? Hearing none, the next information report is on partnership with CTI for utility bill assistance. Mr. Manager.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, through the council. Once again, this is a great opportunity to expand our partnership with CTI. As all of you know, CTI is a great partner, but with this opportunity that we have with low-income household water assistance program, if you look on page 2, councilors, in your packet, you'll see that the number of households is up to the 125% of the FPL, federal poverty line, and that's something that, up to a family of 4 could be $78,000. So this is just an opportunity for us to help families and individuals who are in need, and I would encourage, I know that we'll be pushing this out through our social media, but I'd encourage everybody, if they have an opportunity in the social media, to push this out as well. And thank you again to the CFO, the Deputy CFO, and our City Treasurer. Thank you.
Any comments or questions on this matter? Councillor Yam.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thanks, Mr. Managers, and this program of partnership. This is tremendous. I know of a senior homeowner. She is falling on a hard time, and she's behind on the water sewer. She was afraid. So this will be the lifeline for someone like her. And my question is that, what are the budget that the city would limit it? The total amount, that just like everything else, it has a number of funding that will be available annually for this type of program. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Mr. Manager. Thank you.
Mr. CFO.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. We would encourage folks, because it will depend on their personal circumstances, to contact CTI, and the thresholds that were listed in the program for water and sewer are different. So I believe it's, if your arrearage is up to $654, you'd be eligible for $50. Sewer, there's a higher threshold, but this does have a dual benefit for the city, so it'll help us reduce our receivables for water and sewer, but it does depend on the income levels, and so we would encourage any individuals who might be interested in participating in the program, reach out to CTI, let them know that they heard about this either through watching the city council meeting or through one of our social media channels, and they'd like to participate, and CTI will make payment on their behalf to the city for that arrearage in water or sewer utility bills.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, need a motion to accept and approve all the motion responses and the information reports and the placed on file by Councillor Robinson, second by Councillor Rourke. All in favor say aye, opposed say no. The ayes have it. Motion is carried. The next line item is 4.3. This is on the reappointment of Thomas Lenahan to Planning Board. Any comments or questions by any council member? Hearing none, need a motion to adopt by Councillor Nguyen, second by Councillor Mercier.
Mr. Mayor? Oh, we have to roll call first.
Roll call.
Sorry.
Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councillor Rourke?
Yes.
Councillor Scott? Yes. Counselor Yam?
Yes.
Mayor Chow?
Yes.
Counselor Drinkwater?
Yes.
Counselor Getchia?
Yes.
Counselor Janice? Counselor Leahy?
Yes.
Counselor Mercia?
Yes.
Counselor Noon?
Yes.
Counselor Robbins?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Robertson, do you have your hands up first?
Yes. I'd like to make a motion to bundle 5.1 through 5.8, please.
Okay.
Mr.
Motion
Mayor.
by Councillor Robinson to bundle 5.1 through 5.8, second by Councillor. You do not want to bundle, Councillor Mercia?
I would like to amend it and say bundle 5.1 to 5.7. 5.8 is to amend the council rules subcommittee. Maybe we would want to talk about that.
Would the make of the motion accept the amendment from Councillor Mercia? Amended motion to bundle 5.1 through 5.7, second by Councillor
Yes, thank you.
Mercia. I'm going to read them through just what the items are all about. If you wish to discuss each item separately, you may do so afterward. 5.1 is a vote to accept expend $1,295,265 on COSUP grant. Madam Clerk, I don't need to read that line by line item now since bundle. 5.2 is a vote accept expend $15,000 Department of Mental Health grant LPD. 5.3 vote accept expend $540,496 the State 911 Department Support and Initiative grant LPD. 5.4 vote accept expend $549,993 Connect and Protect grant Lowell PD. 5.5 is a vote accept expend $63,174 for the State 911 Department Training Grant LPD. 5.6 vote accept expend $643.23 State 911 Department EMD Grant LPD. I know the chief was hoping to be through Section 43,000. 5.7 vote accept expend $74,726 Department of Mental Health Grant LPD. Any comments or questions on any one of them? We'll start with Councillor Nguyen.
Mr. Mayor, this is great, new what DPD and staff have done. All this grant is important, needed. I have excited and will vote to support it, accept and expand it. But also, if I could, it is important. So to have Ask the Chief to give a synopsis of what each and every one of this program will do, and
Through Mr. Manager to the Chief.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, councilors. At first, I'd just like to thank Ms. Manzi from our research and development team. Her team is constantly looking for opportunities to bring in grant money to the city that helps with all of our partners. They do a fantastic job, and we were just talking about how, why do we have all these grants in the same week? And it just came that they got notified all in the last week or so that we were receiving all these monies. So. And I wish I could say that the Lowell Police Department was actually receiving all these monies, but as I stated just a minute ago, a lot of this goes to the programs that we work with our partners in. So for instance, on 5.1, the $1.295 million COSUP grant, that's the Comprehensive Opiate Stimulant and Substance Use Site-Based Program, or COSUP, which is through the Bureau of Justice Assistance, which is through the Department of Justice. That is a 3-year grant, and that's going to allow us to support, expand, and enhance our existing co-op program, which many of you are already familiar with. That's also going to allow us to expand with some of the homelessness that you're going to see, that we're already seeing. A good portion of that will go to the health department. Approximately $486,000 of that money will go to the health department, and that helps fund some of those positions there, including the clinical recovery specialist and the youth outreach specialist. The additional $525,000, and again, if I'm missing anything, I'm going to turn and Ms. Manzi can absolutely correct me at any time. $525,000 will go to Lowell House Addiction Treatment and Recovery to bring in a bilingual outreach recovery specialist, as well as a recovery housing specialist to assist homeless individuals with substance use disorder, as well as individuals returning from incarceration. If you have additional questions on that particular grant, I can certainly turn it over to Ms. Manzi, or I can continue to move through each of the grants if you choose. Okay. 5.2 and 5.7, those are two grants that are through the State Department of Mental Health Jail Arrest Diversion Program, and those are yearly grants. Approximately the $15,000 grant will be used to fund and backfill as we send officers to CIT training, which is a 40-hour course, which helps them recognize and assess mental health issues, where they can request the assistance of clinicians. The 74726 is going to help fund the Lowell Police Department co-response clinicians. Going to 5.3, 5.5, and 5.6. Those are all state 911 department, and those are also yearly grants. 5.3 will support an incentive grant of $540,000 will be used to fund portions of dispatcher salaries and purchase equipment for the dispatch center. For instance, we talk about, you know, the amount of use that equipment gets, and it's towards its end of its lifespan. The consoles that they use, the chairs that they use in order to make that a better working environment. We've been in the process of replacing their consoles last year. This year, it's we do about 2 consoles per year, and we upgrade that room as well with some of that money. Yes, Councilor.
That's great to hear. Now, this grant that you're talking about that will be utilized for updates to, say, you know, the 911 room, the consoles, that wouldn't be allowed to be utilized as well in the cell block, would it?
No.
No. And so the ones, just the 911, it's specifically to the radio room?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
You're set, Councilor. Councilor Murcia?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I know that we sit here week after week and we complain about this and we are frustrated with this and that. I'm so happy to be able to say that we're very, very lucky in the city of Lowell when we have talented people that earn and bring in more money than we possibly pay them in Mary Ann Bellata Manzi, who does a tremendous job going after these grants and bringing it in so that we can provide all these services. I'm concerned about the this grant here, COSIP award for the co-op team in the health department. I personally know the people that they're talking about, and they work extremely hard. Every single day, they're out there on the street. They're helping people left and right. They're saving lives. I'm a big cheerleader because I personally see this happening. If we could take some of that money and use it for Uber lifts to bring these clients to detox. We need to get them to detox, and the money and the funding ran out, and there's no way to bring them there, and they're asking. So that's very, very important. But I congratulate you, Mary Ann Bellata Manzi. You do a tremendous job. I'm so, so happy. Thank you so much. Good program. Yep.
Any other comments or questions by any of the councilors? Councilor Leahy?
I want to thank the chief and his team for getting all these grants, obviously, like the rest of the council. But I want to also make a comment that with the money that's going to help the clinicians out there and stuff, and the extra training that you're doing. I've been working locally lately for the last few weeks, and I've seen a lot of calls lately, and I see how professional and compassionate the officers are out in the street, and should be, that reflects on you and your team too. So we're doing a lot, and it's a big problem out there with the homelessness and people on the street, but I think you're handling it very well, so it should be said.
No other comments or questions. We already had a motion to bundle and approve all these votes. Madam Clerk, please roll call.
Councilor Rourke?
Yes.
Councilor Scott?
Yes.
Councilor Yem?
Yes.
Mayor Chow?
Yes.
Councilor Drinkwater?
Yes.
Councilor Getchia?
Yes.
Councilor Janess? Councilor Leahy?
Yes.
Councilor Murcia?
Yes.
Councilor Nunn?
Yes.
Councilor Robinson?
Yes.
Congratulations to Lowell Police Department. The next vote is item 5.8. This is the amend council rules. Any comments or questions before we make a motion to adopt and approve? Councilor Mercia?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do see under the rules that the numbers are crossed out, like instead of it being 9 city councilors, there are 11 now. The seats in the council chamber under Rule 5 occupied by the councilors other than the mayor shall be arranged in a semicircle of, they got 8 chairs, so we should say 10 chairs because there are 10 and you stand up there. Are we going to see this change where numbers are in place instead of being crossed out? For example, it says, rule number 7, 5, a majority of members of the city council shall constitute a quorum. So would it be 6 now? It's 6 now. Would it be such as 2/3 would be 11? Whenever you see 2/3 would be, I want to see 2/3 with a parenthesis and inside the number so that we know. I don't want to have to take off my shoes and start dividing and adding. But anyway, but other than that, it looks okay. I just would like to, are we going to see it? We're not voting on this tonight. Is this going to where are we going with this through you to the?
It's going to be voted on. Mr. Manager, through Mr. Manager, Mr. Solicitor.
The solicitor.
Make a comment to that question.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So based off of the notes that I had, it was to be written this way with the numbers crossed out because I think it does read appropriately, only to, as you mentioned, say in Rule 1 where it has 9 canceled out, it says polling all city councilors. So I think it does achieve the same sort of goal. And where it says, as you referenced in Rule 7, instead of saying 5, it's written a majority of the councilors. If we want that to change, or I guess not to change, to stay with the number, like 6, instead of being written as a majority, that's a change that we could make. But I think the way it's written, it does serve the same purpose. But if that's not the way
why
the body
we
wants
have
it.
both? Why couldn't we say a majority, parenthesis 6, 2/3, parentheses 11? Why couldn't we have that? So there's no, mathematics going on here. I don't know. That's just me. I like to be precise.
No, that's fine, and that is something
If
that.
there's any objection, please let me know, but I want it simplified for my colleagues as I would want it done for me.
We could go about this two-way, Counselor, if maybe the solicitor could take your recommendation
For a
and
quorum.
amended the rules.
Yes.
Or I don't think there's any rush to this. We could postpone it and then have
Oh, we don't have to postpone it, but
take the recommendation and just update
like
it.
to define it a little bit better, like a quorum. A quorum, would that be 6? Just say quorum and then in parentheses 6. 2/3 parentheses 11. A majority parentheses 6. I don't know. Is that what it is?
Mr. Solicitor, would that be okay to amend that based on, we can take a vote on it tonight. I don't think there's objection to that.
Yeah, I mean, whatever the body wants to do, I'm happy to do that. If
Yeah,
they want
thank you.
both, just the numerical, it doesn't matter to me. Either way, it's just the same.
Okay. You all set, Councilor Mercia?
And when it says chairs facing the rostrum, I'd like it to say 10, because it's crossed out. It's supposed to be 10, just so people know. We know there's 10, but
Okay.
just to make it easier, I don't know. Yeah.
You all set, Councilor Mercia?
Yes, thank you.
Councilor Robinson?
Is 2/3
Thank you.
8?
Excuse me, it's like Councilor Robinson. Councilor
2/3
Mercia?
8.
Okay. Councilor Robinson?
Thank you. See, the way this is recommended right now through the law department, one of the benefits of it is if there's changes in the future, you're not cementing in a specific number. So a majority, well, you could end up with 18 councilors down the road and you would still be required a majority. But you see what I mean? Once you tie a number, ultimately we could end up back in this, having to readjust the specific
I don't
numbers.
see it. I don't see it. You're changing it now. Why, down the road, you change it again? What's the problem? It's
That's
the
what
same
I'm
thing,
saying.
isn't it? You're changing it now.
Because it had specific number tied to it. A majority would cover
It's got
regardless what the
specific
number.
word, quorum, of what is the quorum?
A quorum
How
would,
is it to change a number? My numbers change every year, and I'm doing okay.
Councilor Leahy?
Thank you. I was wondering if there's no objection, maybe we could just vote on this next week unless we want to make some changes. Just Rule 12, where it says all motions being by close of business on Thursday. I understand that point, but, you know, we all get busy, so I don't know why we couldn't just keep it the way it is and do up until 10 o'clock on Friday morning. I know they're putting the agenda out, but it makes it a little bit easier on us if we just have that extra hour on Friday morning. And then I didn't know if there's any discussion on, you know, like the school department, it'd probably be nicer to move the motions up versus keeping them at the end. So we could have a discussion on that too. I'd like to change a couple of things around just so, you know, we're a bigger body now. The motions are important. Sometimes we have a lot of people here that want to speak on them, and maybe it'll create less chaos from bouncing around during the night when we're having this agenda read. You know, we're going back and forth. So maybe if we put a little more thought into it and moving the motions around might help us. It's just a thought, so.
Okay, let's do this. This is presented to us for a vote tonight. Let's just read the whole vote, and it sounds like there's some amendments that each council would like to make a request, and we're just going to vote on the amendments, not vote on the final amended council rules. The manager's office through to the solicitor can bring back the final draft next meeting or the following meeting.
Mr. Mayor.
I don't think there's any rush to this, so we can do that. So let's just read what the vote is supposed to be all about anyway.
Is there a way to refer this back to subcommittee though, since it seems like there's more discussion needed on this?
Absolutely. So let me just read it for protocol. City of Lowell and City Council vote amending City Council rules 1, 3, 6, 7, 12, 14, 26, 33, and 36, and adding rules 39 and 40 in accordance with attachment A. What is the will of the council? Should we go and discuss this for a long time, or just send it back to the rules subcommittee? And, you know, Councilor Gishia?
Mayor Chow, 2 weeks ago, we had this in front of us, and we referred it to here. So I just don't understand what's complex about this whole system. It's in front of us, the same thing that was here 2 weeks ago got put here. So, I mean, changing it to 10 a.m. in the morning on Friday makes because there's 11 of you, if everybody throws in two motions, now the city is going to be held back. The manager's office will be here till midnight. It's up to the council to put it in on time. And it's the same thing. If there's one outskirt, the clerk doesn't have a problem with taking it. So I don't think we should make that a rule. But the clerk always takes them after the hours anyway for us. I don't see a reason why we have to hold this up. It defines what a quorum is, a majority of councilors. If we're on a city council and we don't understand what a quorum is, then we got bigger issues than the piece of paper that's written in front of us. I just think that this was here 2 weeks ago, and all of us were okay with it, and now tonight we want to send it back to subcommittees and this and that, and I don't know. That's just my opinion. Let's take a vote on it.
Good, thank you, Councilor. I'm going to listen to all the comments first. I know that two more hands up. Afterward, we're going to see if the motion going to refer by the subcommittee pass or not. After that, take amendments. If that doesn't pass, let's just go through the process and get this done. Councilor Drinkwater.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to point out with respect to the numbers, I mean, this appears to be fairly thoughtful in that where the definition cannot be in dispute. For example, a majority, it doesn't have the actual number because, again, the council could change. Right now, we're, almost 2 years into the term where the number of councilors has changed, and we're currently debating the rules. So I feel it was fairly well thought out where the definition cannot be in dispute. It doesn't reference a specific number, but where a number is maybe somewhat more arbitrary, like in Rule 6, where it defines how many councilors may call for a special meeting, the number's 5. So, I respect the work, of the subcommittee that put this together. And, all these choices were discussed, I know, at the subcommittee level and thought out. So, I certainly came prepared tonight, having reviewed these to take a vote on them. I know they won't really affect me so much as everyone else here, but I would be prepared to take a vote on this tonight should it move forward. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Nguyen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I agree with Councilor Drinkwaters that the Rules Subcommittee, they did a good job at it. And I know a lot of thought put into it. In the Rules Subcommittee, you have chaired by Councilor Janice and members, Councilor Musi, I believe, and Councilor Scott. I agree with you also, Mr. Mayor, that there's no rush into this. If the majority of the member feel that it should go back to revisit some of the point that members have brought up, and I'll be fine with it too. Or vote tonight, it's fine. Thank you.
Councilor Rourke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If I can make a suggestion, why don't you just take the vote as it is, and if it passes, great. If it doesn't, we'll send it back to the subcommittee.
Councilor Robinson.
Thank you. Yeah, I'd be prepared to vote if that's the will. The only reason I recommended maybe sending back to a subcommittee because through you to the solicitor. So the order of operations, so to say, on our agenda, that would have to be adjusted in subcommittee, or how would that work?
Mr. Solicitor.
Yes, you're right. So that hadn't, as far as my understanding is, that hasn't been addressed yet at that level. So it would theoretically go there. They would address it, and then it would come back to the floor here.
Thank you. And that was the driving factor behind me saying let's go back to subcommittee, because one of our colleagues brought up the fact that we've heard this in the past, maybe looking at doing motions first and then working our way in a different order on the agenda. So if that's the will of my colleagues, I say, why take a vote tonight? Let's flesh out the document, get the rules done, and then come back for a final vote. But either way, I'm fine.
Okay. It sounds a couple of councilors had mentioned, I think they are okay with the rest of the language, but there was a couple of amendments that Councilor Mosia and Councilor Leahy would like to request to change. And also it sounds like the rest of the body want to take a vote tonight. So rules are important going forward. Why don't we take Councilor Mosia's request amendment as a motion? We'll vote on that, and then we'll take Councilor Leahy request amendment. We'll vote on that, and then we vote on the entire the rules as amended as a third step. Councilor Mosia, would that be acceptable by you?
Yeah, I don't know what the problem is by saying by the vote of 6 2/3 of the council, but instead of it being 6, it's 8 now. What's the big deal if we put vote of 8, which is 2/3 of the city council? How long have we had the planning form of government where we had 9 city councilors? Now all of a sudden we get 11. Do we think like maybe in 3 years we're going to change it to 15? I don't know what the big deal is with that. I don't see what the problem is by putting 8 2/3 of the city council. 2/3 is 8. I mean, I'm just trying to make it easier so people know how. Let me look up that rule and see, oh, it's a majority, that'd be 6. What's the problem? I thought I was making it easier, but if people know it off the top of their head, I guess it's not a big deal. I don't know.
Do you want to make a motion to amend, or are you okay with the language?
Yes, I want to make the motion to amend to put the numbers there.
Okay. Motion by Councilor Mosia to include the numbers.
Along with what they're asking for, parentheses, 2/3 of the council being what? I don't see the problem with putting both things there. A quorum is 6, 2/3 is 8. A quorum is 6.
Including your prior comment. Do we have a second on the motion? Do we have a second? Second by Councilor Leahy. We'll take one last comment on this one. We'll do a roll call. Councilor Kishia?
Through you to the solicitor, does that make a substantial change where we have to go through the process again?
Yeah, so any amendments that are made tonight to this, per Rule 33, you wouldn't be able to vote on the final product until next week.
We'll come back for another
Thank you.
vote. Okay, so we'll take the amendments, and then we'll
That's
bring
right.
the
Thank
final
you.
product to come back
Yes.
for vote. Madam, we do have a second. Madam Clerk, please roll call.
Counselor Rourke.
Yes.
Counselor Scott.
Yes.
Counselor Yim.
Yes.
Mayor Chow.
Yes.
Counselor Drinkwater.
Yes.
Counselor Getchia.
Yes.
Counselor Janess. Counselor Leahy.
Yes.
Counselor Mercia.
Yes.
Counselor Nunn.
Yes.
Counselor Robinson.
Yes.
And Councilor Leahy, would you remind us on your motion to amend on the time and,
Yeah, just if it's the will of the body, that we want to move the motions up, whatever the suggestion is, but just move them up.
Friday, 10 a.m.?
We could swap them with motion responses if it's easier, just put motions where the motion responses are, put the motion responses at the end, or just put the motions before the votes of the manager. Just be a suggestion to move them up somewhere in the agenda, so they're not last.
Can you be more specific, Councilor, in terms of the order? How would you like to see the order of the agenda?
Probably just put them before motion responses.
Which one's before the motion response?
What's that? Put motions, then motion responses, and then follow the rest of the agenda down.
So that's only changed, the motions before the motion response?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we have a second? Second by Councilor Robinson.
Quick question. So would it be, say, 3 is city clerk, then it would be motions, and then communications from manager after motions? Is that what we're doing?
Is that your...
Motions, then motion responses, and
The motion response are
information.
under communication with the manager. So Councilor Robinson is correct. So be the motions, and then communication from the manager, which include the motion response.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yep.
the information report.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
Was that the only request to amend?
Yeah, that's the only request.
Thought you were going to say something about Friday, 10 a.m. also.
Yeah, I can let that go.
You can let that go, okay. Do we have a second on Councilor Leahy's motion, second by Councilor Robinson? Madam Clerk, please roll call.
Counselor Rourke.
Yes.
Counselor Scott.
Yes.
Counselor Yim.
Yes.
Mayor Chow.
Yes.
Counselor Drinkwater.
Yes.
Counselor Getchia.
Yes.
Counselor Janess. Counselor Leahy.
Yes.
Counselor Mercia.
Yes.
Counselor Nunn.
Yes.
Counselor Robinson.
Yes.
Thank you. So the final council rules, the amended council rule come back the following meeting, Mr. Solicitor, for final vote. We now go to Section 6, Order from the City Manager. 6.1, Order 60-day trial. Waive full reading and second reading by title. City of Lowell and City Council order pursuant to Chapter 266 of Code of Ordinances, City of Lowell, Massachusetts, concerning Section 266-6 thereof entitled Temporary Experimental Regulations. Temporary traffic regulations are hereby implemented for a period of up to 60 days. Any comments or questions? Motion by Councilor Drinkwater, second by Councilor Gishia. Madam Clerk, please roll call.
Counselor Rourke.
Yes.
Counselor Scott.
Yes.
Counselor Yim.
Yes.
Mayor Chow.
Yes.
Counselor Drinkwater.
Yes.
Counselor Getchia.
Yes.
Counselor Janess. Counselor Leahy.
Yes.
Counselor Mercia.
Yes.
Counselor Nunn.
Yes.
Counselor Robinson.
Yes.
We do not have any reports from the subcommittee today. We go to Section 8, the petitions, 8.1, miscellaneous. George David Faneuil requests installation of a handicap parking space at 125 Fulton Street. No discussion. Need a motion to refer to transportation engineer for report and recommendation by Councillor Robinson, second by Councillor Uyam. All in favor say aye, opposed say no. The ayes have it, motion is carried. 8.2, miscellaneous. Chuyen Diep requests installation of a no turn on red sign at the intersection of Parker and Stevens Street. Motion to refer to transportation engineer for report and recommendation by Councillor Gishias, second by Councillor Nguyen. All in favor say aye, opposed say no. The ayes have it, motion is carried. Now we're taking up the City Council motions. These are the items under Section 9. 9.1 will start with Councillor Robinson, request City Manager explore options to assist residents with supplemental public school transportation in the event that contracted services are impacted. Second by Councillor Scott. She's joining us on Zoom. Councillor Robinson.
Thank you. This is just something that we've been hearing that potentially there could be issues with it. So anything that legally would be allowed to do to kind of lend a hand would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
No other comments or questions. The next motion is 9.2, also by Councillor Robinson, request City Manager have the property department explore cost of bringing in supplemental contracted street sweeping services twice annually. Second by Councillor Leahy. Councillor Robinson.
Thank you. I'd like to emphasize supplemental, to supplement, to help, not replace. A lot of communities do this. So spring, fall. I mean, spring, you're getting the majority of your stuff, your sediment that's left over after the winter. Fall, it gives kind of a boost to some of the leaves and stuff. And the whole target of this is to keep your catch basins freer from debris. I know in the past, I believe funds from wastewater could be utilized for a service like this because it is directly tied to catch basins. And as we've seen, with the amount of, the volume of cleaning public and open space due to, the unhoused and vagrancy and all that, with all the other projects our DPW has going on, I'm not sure how easy it is for them to stick to a street sweeper routine. I have seen them out, and I'm super thankful that I've seen them out a lot more than I have in the past. But I just think if we had twice a year bringing in people to assist in these efforts and do kind of a heavy lift for them, it might allow them to continue doing some of the work that they've been doing elsewhere. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions on these motions? Hearing none. For both motion 9.1 and 9.2 separately, all in favor say aye, opposed say no. The ayes have it, motion is carried. The next motion is 9.3 by Councillor Robinson also. Request City Manager have the proper department explore the feasibility of converting sand volleyball surface to stone dust or similar material. Second by Councillor Yam. Councillor Robinson.
Thank you. Again, as an employee, I remember years ago we had sand in Pineland Park or Clemente Park. At the request of the neighborhood, we removed that. They put stone dust in. They like the harder surface. I'm actually seeing people up at Gage. The sand volleyball court is next to the tennis courts. People aren't using it. People are bringing their own netting and setting up in the tennis courts because it's a hardscape surface. So it seems like the harder surface is more attractive to people that play volleyball in the city. So I just think anything we could do to help facilitate that. I mean, we have the volleyball set up. It's not being used. Why not put the material in that they want and get them to use that and free up the tennis courts again? Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, on the favor say aye, opposed say no. The ayes have it, motion is carried. The next motion is 9.4. Councillor Robinson requests City Manager have the proper department provide an update on conversion into the 311 system. Second by Councillor Mercia. Councillor Robinson.
I think the motion speaks for itself.
Excellent, Councillor. Any other comments or questions? On favor say aye, opposed say no. The ayes have it, motion is carried. We already have taken up 9.5, now it's 9.6. Councillor Yam requests to have City Council meeting on Tuesday, November 7, cancel. Do we have a second? Second by Councillor Mercia. Councillor Yam.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I know all of the councillors will be busy campaigning for that day. I know that for me, I start out at 6:30 in the morning before poll open, and I usually stay at the location, the poll location. Only took 2 breaks is for a bathroom and lunch break, because I want to have the constituent to be able to see that I'm there at the poll, and oftentimes they come out and they say thank you and, you know, interaction. So if we have a meeting at 6:30, the poll closing at 8, you know, so it would not be possible to run back to the council meeting. And how many minutes and hours we can hold a meeting during that time? I'd rather be at the poll location, greeting constituents, they coming to vote, and encourage them. And they like that idea to see the councillor, you know, be there, greet them when they come in and they leave. So that's the reason for my motion. I appreciate all the support. Thank you so much.
Councillor Gishia.
We have a schedule and we should follow it. I get that we want to go campaign on that night, but people are paid money to be here. We've taken more nights off than anything. You get all the airtime you want through this little TV, and we should be here on that night. We scheduled it, and that's where we should be. Can we take a roll call on it if it is something that goes?
Councillor Rook.
Yeah, I'm going to just vote president on this one. You know, I don't, I think Councilor Leahy and I are in a very fortunate situation. So, you know, I understand both sides of it for those that are running and whatnot. So, you know, I go by what the wish of the council is.
Any other comments? Councillor Murcia?
Well, I have 2 comments. The people that want to come here are the people that are going to have 7 to 10 motions on the agenda. I will be here all night long. And then there's some of my colleagues that don't have opposition, so what do they really care? So I have opposition, and I have to be at the polls. But if you think you want to sit here and tell me your 30 motions, then hey, that's up to you.
Any other councillor? Councillor Gishia?
Through you to the city solicitor, would this be a conflict of interest where you can vote your night off so you can go do politicking?
Through Mr. Manager to the city solicitor?
No, I don't see this as being, I don't see that as being a conflict of interest.
Okay, no other comments. It's a great motion, it's a great intent, Councillor Yam. I'm also going to vote present on this one because I was happy to be present in person here for that night. But if I don't have to be, then I will be also just as happy at that time, at the present moment as well. Madam Clerk, please roll call.
Councillor Rook?
Present.
Councillor Scott?
Yes.
Councillor Yam?
Yes.
Mayor Chow?
Present.
Councillor Drinkwater?
Yes.
Councillor Getchia?
No.
Councillor Leahy?
No.
Councillor Mercia?
Yes.
Councillor Nunn?
Yes.
I forgot. Councillor Janney.
Yeas have it.
You skipped me.
Councillor Janney, could you give us the roll call on that one? That was a complicated one.
Robinson?
Councillor Robinson?
I'm sorry. Sorry. Councillor Robinson?
Yes.
So I got 6 yeas. 2 present, 1 absent.
Motion passed. Congratulations, Councillor, and we'll be on the happy campaign trail with you. The next motion is 9.7. Councillor Gishia request city manager have the property department paint the parking lines in the parking lot behind the daily school. Second by Councillor Nguyen. Councillor Gishia.
I'm going to save some time so people can get campaigning. Motion speaks for itself.
Excellent. Any other comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye, opposed say no. The ayes have it. Motion is passed. We are about to go to council, the executive session. Before we do so, any announcement? Mr. Manager?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through to the council. Council is, at the last council meeting, people had a concern with the Council on Aging lights working. Just to let you know, I did speak with Kim Gagnon, as well as Mr. No. Mr. Saris, thank you very much. Mr. Nick Saris. They did change out all the lights over there to LED, and they're all working, so that was what was happening. I do apologize. Mr. Saris and I spoke today about that, as well as our workers. So that is working. And as far as the pavement markings, just to let folks know.
No, that's paving 133.
Excuse me, 133 will be paved tomorrow from 8 p.m. On Friday, 10/13. I'm reading the Assistant City Manager's notes here. Friday, 10/13 from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. So once again, paving on 133 will be Friday at 10/13 from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m.
They're adding something on that.
And all of the fixtures in that area, there was a couple of concerns. Mr. Leahy, Councilor Leahy, Councilor Mercy had called me today. They are all the raised structures out there should be marked appropriately as well. So just to let you know that should be happening once again Friday, October 13th, from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. the paving on 133.
We will adjourn from the executive session. We will not return to the chamber. The executive session to discuss matters of potential litigation with the Environmental Protection Agency regarding the city's ongoing efforts at implementing sewer separation projects, public discussion of which could have a detrimental effect on the city's position. Need a motion by Councilor Rook, second by Councilor Leahy. Madam Clerk, please roll call.
Counselor Rook?
Yes.
Counselor Scott?
Yes.
Counselor Yam?
Yes.
Mayor Chow?
Yes.
Counselor Drinkwater?
Yes.
Counselor Getchia?
Yes.
Counselor Janess? Counselor Leahy?
Yes.
Counselor Mercia?
Yes.
Counselor Nunn?
Yes.
Counselor Robinson?
Yes.
Okay, once again, we will not return to chamber. We will adjourn from the executive session room. Thank you everyone for watching. Have a great night.